Yo, what is up guys? Damian Lillard isn't underrated. Gordon Hayward isn't underrated. Kemba Walker isn't underrated. Freaking Isaiah Thomas isn't underrated. Now hold up. Before you guys get your pitchforks and click that unsubscribe button, let me explain why I feel this way. Alright, so in the basketball world, the word underrated is thrown around quite a bit. Saying that a certain team or even a certain player is underrated is something that you see or hear almost on the daily. For example, a lot of people like to say that players like Damian Lillard, Gordon Hayward, Isaiah Thomas, Kemba Walker, players like that are underrated. Basically the best players on teams that don't get much attention on a national or even the global level now. But are those players really underrated? Now I get what they're saying. Those players are just as good as some other players that get all the attention in the world while they get virtually none at all. And I'm guilty of throwing this word around a bit too. I can't deny that I have thrown around the word underrated a bit too much without actually thinking about what it meant or what players were really underrated. This video was originally supposed to be about the players that I felt were underrated so far this season. And then I had an epiphany. Are these players actually underrated at all? See, by definition, underrated means to underestimate the extent, value, or importance of something or someone. The key word here is to underestimate. I don't think anyone that truly knows basketball underestimates players like Damian Lillard or Isaiah Thomas. We as basketball flames all know exactly what type of flames they are capable of setting to the court. We know that they are capable of turning any arena to ashes. And we also know what they bring to their team every night. So what I'm saying is just because they don't get as much attention from the media or anything like that doesn't mean that they are underrated. Maybe a better title would be something like overlooked or just flat out calling them the best players that don't get that much attention, because I don't think underrated suits them. For example, if the Blazers win a game, everyone's gonna automatically assume that Damian Lillard is the main reason they won. So at the end of the day, if it's Damian Lillard that's getting the credit for the Blazers winning, he's not necessarily underrated at all. Everyone is already acknowledging him as the main reason the Blazers are winning, so how is that underrated? Same thing with players like Isaiah Thomas and Kemba Walker. If their team gets the win, they're gonna get the majority of the credit. So who exactly are underrated NBA players if they are not? See, that's when it comes down to the rest of the roster. You look at the rest of the roster on these teams and that's where you're gonna find the underrated players. For example, Jae Crowder of Boston. How often do you hear people say that he's the reason they won a game? Not too often. But now that he's injured and has been playing much this season, the Celtics aren't quite living up to the expectations people had for them going into the season. People will say that that means they're just not as good of a team as that we thought they were gonna be. Well, what they don't realize is that Jae Crowder was a crucial piece for Boston. While you can also say that Al Horford being injured also has an impact on the team, and that could be true, but we haven't necessarily seen the effect that Al Horford has on the Boston Celtics just yet, so it's too early to say that. But we know who Jae Crowder is. He's been a reason for the Celtics turnaround ever since they traded for him from Dallas for Rajon Rondo. And when Crowder returns and the Celtics start winning again, who is going to get the credit? Most likely Isaiah Thomas, and to be fair, he will be a big part of the reason that they are winning. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve the credit. Look, Thomas has been having an incredible season so far for Boston. He's off to the best start of his career, and when the Celtics start winning again, that's what people will notice. They'll notice his 27 points per game and his 7 assists. Not the fact that Jae Crowder was missing before, and now that he's returned, he's doing a little bit of everything to help Boston get the win. So to me, that is underrated. A player that's on the roster that's not the main attraction, the player that's not the big name, not the big name players, but the other guy, the guy that does a little bit of everything for the team to help them get the win, the guy that does the intangibles, the guy that's doing the dirty work, that's the guy that's kind of underrated in the NBA. I really hope that made sense to you guys. That's just something I had to do since, like I said, I was making a video on the most underrated players of the season so far, and then I caught myself like, yo, these players might not be underrated. They just need a different name than underrated, just the best players that don't get much attention. That's my whole spiel on this underrated thing, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Smack that like button if you did, or if you agree with me, and if you don't agree with me, or if you do, whatever you agree with, just leave your comment or opinion down in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I post NBA content every single day. And so you guys know what that means, I will be right back here tomorrow. So until then, keep giving the Bucks, Team SDC, and I'm out of here. Peace!